of Information is organizing the National Policy Summit aimed at regularly informing the public on detailed government strategies on revamping the economy for sustained growth. The expectation of the maiden summit is to build partnerships and elicit feedback to government to enhance further policy development. And for this particular edition, this month's edition, the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and other stakeholders are currently at the Accra International Conference Center. The summit will be held each month for over 2 days. Let's take you back to the Accra International Conference Center.
On a daily basis, even there's a data that on Mondays, duties that are collected are very, very minimum because we are waiting for the exchange rates to come down. Is there a way we can have the window maybe a month, maybe, a longer period, so that the traders' issues will not impact on the consumer? Because at the end of the day, they trade, the AGI, who are they going to sell to? The consumer. So if the consumer doesn't have the ability to buy, Mr. Fafield can produce the car tires and the bicycle tires, and it will have no use. So I think time has come when we're doing all this policy, especially when we talk about national policy, whatever, in terms of economics, it will be of no use. So I think time has come when we're doing all this policy, especially when you talk about national policy, whatever, in terms of economics, the consumer should be considered and be put first. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get reactions. But the plenary is now open. Yes, sir. Please tell us your name, identify yourself, and let's hear your question or your contribution.
Much. I'm Emmanuel Siedu, the Chief Executive for Gratis Foundation, the Ministry of Trade. My sister talked about the fact that if you could make spare parts in the country to be able to reduce some of the things. I want to say that the Ministry of Trade, Gratis is in charge of the industry aspect of it, and we have acquired machines they call CNC machines, computer numerical control machines, by which you can make spare parts. We are targeting that we should be able to make almost about half the spare parts that we have in Ghana. So those who want spare parts, come and see us. Probably I'll talk to Minister of Finance. I will need some more money to be able to finish it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me come to the middle aisle. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm Lord Quay from Rectedon, Ghana.
Please speak up, sir.
I'm Lord Quay from Rectedon, Ghana, Africa. The finance minister talked about, the other man, talked about 612 million being saved. I want to know whether it's saved or it's going to be paid in the future. And with the policies, are these policies, aligned with any national development agenda, or it's just manifestos that NPP come and gives wonderful policies, then in quotes, NDC comes to mess it up? Are we going to go with this cycle? And with the venture capital too, I want to know from the finance minister if the Yes Ghana is still operational, and if we could also do the time shift. Some of us can work at night. I don't know why we are still doing 8 to 5 and stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go to the right aisle. Ms. Arkest and the finance minister will take note of your questions and they'll respond when it's time. Let me go to the right aisle. Yes, sir.
Francis Nyani from Back Press.
Back Press.
Yes, please. I think Dr. Asibe made mention of the fact that private sector wants to build confidence in government. Private sector cannot avoid doing business for government. But our major problem is how do we ensure prompt payment? A company A will work for government, execute all jobs. It takes about 10 to 11 months before government pays such a company. And private sector can only do that by borrowing funds from the bank. And that comes with associate interest rate. So if government can come out with an enabling environment or even a time frame which private sector working for government can get paid on time, I think it will help the private sector to grow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So your question to the minister is how government is improving payment to contractors. Yes, sir.
My name is Professor Kusi. Executive Director for the Institute for Fiscal Studies. My first comment has to do with trade and industry. Mr. Minister's agenda and the policies and the programs, well, Dr. Sibe definitely will lay the foundation for the supply side that you're talking about. The issue is, as a country, have we taken time to understudy why the previous massive industrialization program that was undertaken 30, 40 years ago, to study why they were all not successful? And therefore, as we move to implement the same, we are not caught on the way by the same problems that undermined the previous one. Mr. Minister, there are many countries that have grown and developed out of debt. So I don't think we should shy away from debt. The point is that as a country, we must be able to develop or determine the sustainable level of debt. And the money that we borrow, what those monies are used for. And once we are able to determine the sustainable level of debt, that will also help us to know the level and the strength and the frequency of fiscal consolidation that we have to undertake. So, Minister, I think just profiling the debt does not mean that we're not going to pay. Yes, we may have the same public debt stock, but they may not be sustainable. Because remember, you have to pay, you have to service the debt by paying interest on it. Dr. Sesipe, I just want to tell you that I'm not enthused about the establishment of the fiscal rules and the fiscal councils. The point is that the Minister of Finance now has ample tools under him. The Public Finance Management Act, if properly implemented, the gift mix, if properly implemented, will be able to establish the fiscal discipline that we need in government. Remember, the fiscal councils and the fiscal rules will not be implemented by different people from the planet. It's the same Ghanaians who are in the public sector and who are causing this fiscal indiscipline who may find themselves to be there. Whether it is independent or not, I'm not very much enthused about it. And I'm also not very much enthused about it because we have two institutions in Parliament. We have the Public Account Committee, we have the Finance Portfolio Committee. Their job is to take the government to account on issues of corruption and fiscal responsibility. And Mr. Akest, the coming down of the exchange rate has nothing to do with the government policies, because the government had then come into power for less than 3 weeks, and the exchange rate began to decline. That is what we call the announcement effect. Economic competitors and the market just look at the poster of the government, and then they decide initially their reaction to that. If all these things that the government has put in place are not properly and effectively implemented, I can bet you that the exchange rate will begin to depreciate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I'd like to encourage all of us to be snappy so that we can take a lot more contributions. Yes, sir. Then I'll go to the right and take a final line back this way, and then I'll come for reaction. So, ladies and gentlemen, please take a lot of notes so that we can hear from more people. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Kofi Hindaku, and my question, which is actually not a question but a comment, would go to the Honorable Minister for Finance and Dr. Akest. I believe it is all for all of us. My key question would be, has the Ministry of Finance tried to do an analysis on the cost of doing business by the lack of response from the ministries? Now, I was very happy when I heard this statement. I want to do the work so that we keep people out of the ministry. That supposes that if I don't travel to the ministry, I'll get a response. That supposes that if I send an email, I'll be able to get somebody to take a look at it. That supposes that when I write a letter, I don't have to chase on that letter for 1 year before I get a response. Now, I think it's essential that we remove this inefficiency. I do appreciate that removing those names is quite clear, but the cost of that lack of response is killing business in this country. Now, let me go specifically to one thing. Almost everybody in this room has emails. I wish to challenge the Ministry of Communication that by Wednesday, that email that I gave to you, I have the papers of this conference in my inbox. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for staying here on the Joy News channel. Now, the Bureau of National Investigations has taken over investigations into alleged questionable payments at the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. On the 21st of February 2017, Joy News intercepted documents revealing Executive Secretary Samuel Sapon directed the payment of monies meant for the commission into his account. It was also discovered that the commission paid various sums of money to some Muslim MPs during Ramadan. Joy News is learning that about 20 staff of PURC have been invited, including Executive Secretary Samuel Sapon and Head of Public Affairs Nanaya Jantwa. Joy News' investigative journalist Kwetinate has more.
21st February this year, Joy News reported how monies meant for PURC accounts were paid into a private account based on the directives by the PURC Executive Secretary. It was close to 500,000 cedis. On 1st March 2017, the Energy Committee of Parliament summoned the PURC as part of the committee's own investigation into the matter. NDC MP for Asawase and member of the committee, Muntaka Mubarak, spoke about this.
The Energy Committee is one of the committees in this House that is posed to be able to invite PURC. If it requires that something extraordinary has to be done, I'm sure the Energy Committee will definitely recommend that to the House.
After the expose, Joy News is learning that the BNI has been inviting some officials of the PURC. Chairman of the PURC Union, Jabaru Mohammed, was the first to be invited by the Bureau.
Chief of Staff referred the matter to the BNI for them to take up the matter, and I was invited to speak to the petition that was sent to them. And precisely, I was asked on questions that were based on the petitions that I had signed and sent to the Chief of Staff and other related matters.
The Executive Secretary of PURC, Samuel Sapon, Head of Public Affairs, Nanaya Jantwa, and an account manager were detained by the BNI. They've been granted bail but are assisting the Bureau in investigation.
It is true that a member of ours and two management persons were detained.
Another staff who pleaded anonymity says the BNI quizzed him about his claim of financial infractions at the Commission and victimization by top officials at the utilities regulator.
We'll bring you updates on that particular story as and when they are available. Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has revealed that plans are far advanced for prospective Muslim pilgrims to this year's Hajj to be notified on their phones or emails about their scheduled travel arrangement. He noted that Hajj is not only about flight arrangements, but the transportation and feeding of pilgrims is a key component of a successful Hajj. He said they hope to build on the improvement made by their predecessors in the management of Hajj. He made the revelation at the 20th Hilal Conference held in Wa.
20th annual conference was attended by senior figures of the Muslim Ummah, including the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, National Chief Imam, Sheikh Alhaji Osmanu Sorbutu, and all regional chief imams in the country. The purpose of the conference is to come out with a correct position of the sighting of the Ramadan crescent according to the dictates of the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet of Islam. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia noted that for the first time in the history of the country, government has included in its budget a staggering amount of 290 million Ghana cedis for the establishment of Zongo Development Fund in the country. He assured them that Parliament will pass a law for the implementation when it reconvenes.
So we should be able to make some, important changes in our communities. We should be. We have been given the wherewithal, and we should be able to make some important changes. We have to invest these resources in education, for our people. We have to invest these resources to empower our women in the communities and to create jobs for our youth.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia also spoke of plans by the government to build on improvement made by the NDC government in the management of the Hajj.
The Hajj is not just a matter of getting on the flight, but when you get there, sometimes our pilgrims suffer a lot in the area of transportation, in the area of feeding, even knowing when your flight is before you take off here. This year we want to introduce some new improvements in the Hajj, so that a few weeks before a pilgrim's flight, you will get either a text message or you can go to the website and you know that on this day at this time I will be on this flight.
Speaking on the theme of the conference, Religious Tolerance and Means to National Development, Amir and Missioner in charge of the Ahmadiyya movement in Islam, Maulvi Nur Muhammad bin Sali, called on Muslims to be each other's keeper.
I wish to draw the attention of my brethren to the fact that the things that divide us as Muslims, they are very, very, very few compared to the ones that unite us as an Ummah. We have a common interest, and we must all therefore pay attention to that common interest. In so doing, we need to be mindful of castigating and tearing ourselves apart.
A communique was issued at the end of the conference and was read by a member of the committee, Alhaji Gasali Yakubu.
The first day for the sighting of the moon shall start on Thursday, the 25th day of May, when Shaban shall be 29 days. If sighted, Friday, 26th of May shall be the first day of Ramadan. If not sighted, 26th May shall be the 30th day of Shaban. Then Saturday, the 27th day of May shall automatically be the first day of Ramadan 2017.
Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam. Wa.
And here in our Joy News studios, my name is Benis Abubedu. Now, a suspected armed robber has told police in Kumasi he only took half the amount he's alleged to have stolen because he had sympathy for the victim. 19-year-old, identified only as Hamza, is offering to act as an informant of the Ashanti Regional Police Command and lead officials to all narcotic and other crime spots in the city. He's one of the 4 suspects paraded before journalists for various crimes, including car snatching. Kwesi Deborah reports.
Hamza was picked up less than 24 hours after storming into a victim's room with a gun at dawn to steal a mobile phone, motorbike and a cash of 300 Ghana cedis. He, however, suggests he took only 150 Ghana cedis out of sympathy in reaction to a briefing by Mensha Divisional Commander Chief Superintendent Kwaku Bua. I can send you to where they sell all the hard drugs. I want to help the society, but I can't. I will work hard, and should the police agree, I would want to become an informant.
Local culture, they do.
But you are a double informer.
Earlier, Regional Deputy Commander ACP Ampofuduku told journalists of the nefarious activities of one of the suspects believed to be a member of a car stealing syndicate.
Robberies that were perpetrated by two, how do we call it, suspects. They are here, and when I mention their name, when I mention their name, then you point them out. They can even stand up for the press to see them. Complainant is Samuel Insia, and the driver who lives at Ningaso near Krofo, Kumasi. Suspect is Patrick Indebu, who claims to be a building contractor. Patrick Indebu, yes, I is here. Who claims to be a building contractor. Other accomplices are now at large. On the 10th of March 2017, the complainant was in charge his Toyota Corolla taxi cab with registration number AS 680-17, valued at 30,000 Ghana cedis.
And Kwesi Debra brought us that report from Kumasi in the Ashanti region. You're watching Joy News today with me, Benis Abubedi. We'll take a quick break. When I come back, I'll be giving you the latest on members of the Ghana School Feeding Caterers Association who are threatening not to cook until the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection pays them their arrears. Many thanks for staying here on Joy News today. Now, members of the Ghana School Feeding Caterers Association are vowing not to cook until the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection pays them their arrears. The caterers who are picketing the Gender Ministry say the ministry owes them from July 2016 to May 2017. The Chief Director of the ministry has been speaking to us.
In terms of caterer payments, we owe them 140 days. Of the 140 days, 75 days is what has matured for payments. We have made a lot of efforts to get the monies paid. However, let's not forget that because of the change in government, we all have had to go through some processes, because governance and control is key, especially when it comes to the payment of monies. We have had the figures reviewed. We have had the necessary authorities to get that level of comfort and assurance that indeed the figure we are talking about is right. We have gone through the process and have it cleared. However, we still need to have some administrative processes cleared both at the Ministry of Finance and the Controller and Accountant General. And that is what indeed we are working on. We can assure you that based on how far we have come, we believe that hopefully by the end of this month, it should be possible to make the payment. I need to be very conservative to the extent that it goes beyond the ministry. There are other parties involved in the processes who would need to give us clearance. For instance, it has to go through clearance processes by way of governance at Controller and Accountant General, and also at the same time at Ministry of Finance. So when all these stages are cleared, which we believe will not take that long, we are going to make the payment. So what I would say is I can assure our mothers, our sisters, our caterers that they need to bear with us. They are all aware that in the last 24 months, and even as late as January, we made some payments to them. And for that matter, there is absolute and unfettered commitment from government to pay them. So they have to bear with us. We would definitely ensure it's done. We've gone through this process for a while. There had been times where caterers had been owed 180 days, 200 days, and so on. I think we have come very, very far, and they have been patient with us. We believe that now the process is being streamlined, and so they should also give us that comfort for as long as the necessary authorities at the finance ministry are also comfortable and have sanitized the figures. We don't see why the payment wouldn't come through in the next few weeks. And we're saying for us all to be comfortable, let's work with a very conservative estimate. End of the month, we would sort them out.
Please, your name and position.
I'm Patrick Echampo, National Coordinator for the School Feeding Program. Patrick Echampo,
National Coordinator.
School Feeding Program.
Well, the Public Relations Officer of the School Feeding Caterers Association, Mameya Dodua, says their creditors are demanding that they make the payment, and they're also raising concerns about their medium of payment, mobile money.
When we want to look at our debt, that's why we are here this morning. It's not only 2017, it starts from 2016. So looking at the time and the period and the number of days, we said today we want to come here, speak to the minister, and see how we can get our money. That is why we came here this morning.
Well, the coordinator of the school feeding program, Patrick Echampo, was also there to give them some assurances.
Well, we've been doing everything possible to ensure that you receive any amounts that we owe you. If you recall, right after Christmas, we managed to squeeze something to give to you, even though it was small. And that was to make the point that government was committed to paying whatever arrears that any of you have with us. Unfortunately, what you are referring to as the money which has been released is the school grant, which is given to the schools in the northern part, secondary schools in the northern part of Ghana. It is not the school feeding facility which has been released now. You may also recall that, you see, there was a change in government, and the budget which is normally read in November was read in March this year. And without the appropriation, you can't spend government money. So that has also, in a way, caused the delay in the payment of the money. But all along, government has shown commitment that the monies owed you would be paid. For the last 2 weeks, we've been on it, trying to get the administrative processes in place to ensure that monies owed school caterers have been paid. But let's get it clear. The money which went to Ministry of Education, yes, is for the feeding grant for secondary schools in the northern part of this country. The school feeding, I don't know who said it, but as far as I'm concerned, what was said by the Minister of Education referred to what is under their sector. You know, school feeding is not under the Ministry of Education. So definitely the Minister of Education could not say that monies have been released for the payment of caterers. Let me pause here. I will let the coordinator tell you the efforts being made to pay the money.
Away from the school feeding program, Joy News editor Jifa Bampo has been honored for her diligence as a journalist. Jifa and 7 other women, including Eugenia Tichimenson, Shirley Frimpong Manso, Professor Ifua Hesse, Joyce Ababio, were honored at the 2nd edition of the Glitz Women of the Year honors. Jifa Bampo, who received the recognition for her excellence in media, says the honor is a validation of her hard work.
Be discouraged. There are days that you will feel down. There are days you will want to leave, and that has happened to me a number of times. But sometimes you wake up the next morning and you find yourself back at work. You should know why you are there. If you don't know why you are there, you can't achieve what you want. So I would urge young people to learn, to have a vision or a goal, and to work towards it.
People have the perception that this is a promiscuous, circle. Once you're in the media, it means that you're giving up yourself for it, and so people want to do that a lot more times. Now, it is appropriate to ask you that have you ever had people come to you, look in your face, and say, "I won't give you this until you do this"?
No. But maybe I was of a different time, and looking at my body structure, I was really smallish. So I think the thinking was, look, as for this one, she's too small. She's not the kind of one we want. But on a more serious note, it's about how you present yourself. If you present yourself as a serious individual, people will take you seriously. But if you come with frivolity and act in a manner that suggests that, well, you are open for anything, then that's how people will treat you.
Having to leave your children every day, come to work, some people have given that as your excuse of not pursuing what they love, which maybe is the same as you.
I've tried to explain that a good number of times to the children. They are young, but they understand. But I think it's not about the children. It's about your partner, your husband or your wife. Because either for men or women, the hours can be difficult and can be frustrating. We do a lot of early hours or late nights. In fact, I would typically not be at this event because I may have closed late from work. But the reality is that once you have a supportive husband, wife or partner or spouse, you should be able to pursue your dream. If that person loves you enough to be with you, they must love you enough to accept your passion and go along with you to achieve what you can achieve.
We at the Multimedia Group also say congratulations to our very own Jifa Bampo. Now, still on some good news, close to 2 million Ghana cedis has been raised from the first Focus fundraising event. This is out of the initial target of 5 million cedis needed to assist 100 children undergo surgery to correct defects on their spines. Addressing donors at the maiden fundraising dinner on Saturday, the special guest of honor, former President John Ejikunkufo, expressed confidence in the work of Professor Oheneba Boachie and his team of medical officers at Focus, urging support from private sector initiatives.
In attendance were some members of the diplomatic corps, ministers of states, members of parliament, philanthropists, corporate institutions, and some patients. Recounting his experience as a patient at Focus, former President John Ejikunkufo emphasized the need to believe and encourage the Ghanaian in every sphere of life so as to advance the development the country so desires.
We should know that government by itself cannot do it all. In any case, if the government should try to spoon-feed the community, then people would go lazy. They would expect everything to be done for them. But that's not how you build a society. You should encourage people to do things for themselves. And so policy should be to encourage people like Oheneba Boachie with incentives to do things. Because when Boachie creates, look at Focus, for instance. It is engaging doctors, nurses, paramedics, laborers, everybody. And with the employment Focus generates, it is helping spread the wealth, for people to live in dignity. So government policy should be to help the private sector. Because when the private sector grows here in this country, it is wealth being generated in the country for the people at large.
Chief Executive Officer and founder of Focus Orthopedics Hospital, Professor Oheneba Boachie, appealed to all and sundry to let their God-given talents be of enormous benefit to the society.
In the Bible it is said, every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. This verse in many ways motivates and inspires the mission and the work of Focus. We consider ourselves as God's instruments in this world, and are sharing our God-given talents to straighten up people who are unfortunately suffering from physical deformity.
Unibank made the highest donation with a sum of 1 million Ghana cedis. Others also bid highly for items auctioned on the 9th, all in support of the Focus Endowment Fund. Highlight musician Bisakede was the guest artist of the 9th.
The Focus Endowment Fund still needs your support to realize the initial amount of 5 million Ghana cedis. You can visit our Facebook page for the details of the bank account and other ways you can support this good cause. You're watching Joy News today with me, Benis Abubedi.